Steve Merrill back here with a big game breakdown for one of the biggest head-to-head matchups tonight on Wednesday, January the 3rd, and it goes at 8:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 national TV. Two basketball powerhouse schools. You know, we're in January now. There's only one college football game left. NFL playoffs around the corner, so it is basketball time of year. We start to focus on some colleges that are known for their basketball programs, and that's Xavier and Villanova. Shouldn't say that though. Villanova's got some actually national championships in the FCS level of football. I know because they often go against my William and Mary tribe. They're pretty darn good in basketball as well. Jay Wright, of course, steps down about a year ago, and the team does falter a bit without him. And it was actually more on the defensive side of the ball. But it looks like they're back to their powerhouse ways this season. And this is a pretty good Villanova team they've got in Philadelphia this year. Xavier also a solid squad this season, as they often are. And this should be one of the best matchups we have this week in college basketball. So let's dig in and see the best way to play it tonight. First of all, Xavier, a fast-paced team as they often are. If you look at the current pace rankings, they're 76th fastest team out of 362. Very efficient offensively and defensively, top 80 in both, but they're actually a top 30 defensive team, which you don't often see with teams that play fast. Villanova, though, playing much better defense. You know, they're always a top 20 defense under Jay Wright. A couple years ago, they fell to outside the 100s, and that's why they really struggled once he stepped down his first season out. They might just be 9-4 straight up this year, but they're playing really good defense. In fact, they're currently ranked top 20 once again in defensive efficiency, and they're actually ranked top 40 in offense, which is ahead of Xavier, but they play very slow in the bottom 50 or so of pace in the entire nation. And I think that'll be the key to this game tonight. Often say this when handicapping college basketball. Whenever I get a slow-paced team versus a fast-paced team, always look for reasons to play that slower half-court team. And Villanova definitely qualifies as the slower team, half-court team at home tonight. Problem is, though, there's not a lot of line value left. This line opened 6.5, which is where I pretty much thought it should be. And it's been bet all the way up to 8.5 now in the betting markets. Even briefly saw some nines out there on Wednesday morning. So we haven't really any value left, but still, once again, if you're going to play this, I'd much rather have the slower half-court team in Villanova. As far as the total, it's been bet from 138.5 up to 141, and I don't agree with that move. Xavier in the over, Villanova in the under, all obviously somewhat correlated. With money coming in on Villanova, pushing the line higher, I don't see why money would be coming in on the over. So although we've lost some line value on Villanova, I think we've gained some value with the under 141 in this game. And as I mentioned, Villanova, a top 20 defense, but Xavier is actually a better defensive team efficiency-wise than their offense, and I do think they'll struggle offensively with the half court setting. So although I like Villanova, we have lost some line value. I like the under 141 as we've gained some value there in this game once again tonight, 8:30 Eastern Wednesday on Fox Sports 1.
Let's take a look at Stanford and UCLA from a situational perspective, guys. UCLA looks to be the correct side here. Bruins, they're going to be hosting a Stanford team that is coming off a rather shocking upset of then number 4 Arizona on Sunday. As 12-point home underdogs, the Cardinal won 100-82 thanks to 4 different players scoring in double figures and a school record 16 made threes. For the game, Stanford shoots 58.1%, 64% from three. Meanwhile, Arizona, they shoot just 43% overall, 26.9% for three. That game taking place on New Year's Eve makes me wonder if the favored Wildcats had something else on their minds that evening. Certainly, it was a rather pathetic defensive display by Arizona in that game. And you got to think this one now, going to UCLA, shapes up as a clear letdown spot for the underdog Stanford. UCLA, meanwhile, they got to get it going. They've been one of the most disappointing teams in the entire country so far this season. The Bruins already 7 losses, 1 here at home to Cal State Northridge. They also have lost at home to Maryland as well. So if they don't win here tonight, that's 3 straight home losses. Prior to the previous 2 at home, they were 36-1 straight up their last 37 at Pauley Pavilion. I really cannot see UCLA dropping 3 straight home games. Yes, they did go just 1-5 straight up in the month of December. 3 different times held under 16% from three-point range. I understand this is the youngest team Mick Cronin has ever had during his time in Westwood. But what you need to understand is UCLA has been among the unluckiest teams in the entire country. Ken Palm has their luck rating at 361. They have 4 losses by 5 points or fewer. And you look at who the losses are to, well, I mean, those were games where maybe other than Cal State Northridge, I don't think there's anything that's a terrible loss per se. It's difficult to ignore that this is only the second true road game for Stanford. They lost by 14 at San Diego State in the first. Ken Palm does have these teams rated almost dead even, but UCLA, a big edge in defensive efficiency, 39th versus 113th. It's a letdown spot for Stanford. The only thing that scares me and kept it off my card is the number, which is going up. But to me, this is favorite, which is UCLA or pass.
Hey, everybody, here comes the big game breakdown for today, Wednesday, and it's going to go or involve the Atlantic 10 Conference. The conference opens up their season today. I'm going to talk about a couple of A10 games, but we're going to start with Duquesne at Massachusetts. Game opened. UMass 1.5-point home favorites, total 156. Currently, still a 1.5-point favorite, total down just a shade to 155.5. And that's kind of deceiving because this number went even lower earlier this morning and has now come back almost to its original starting point. As I mentioned, conference season opener for both of these teams. Both sit at 9-3 straight up, but Duquesne's only 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games. Kind of a tailspin point spread wise for the Dukes, while UMass is 4-2 over the course of their last 6. They've been impressive at home thus far, 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread, winning margin 15 points per game. Their only loss at home was an OT loss to Harvard. They did beat South Florida here. Duquesne, in only their 3rd true road game, lost at Nebraska by 10. No shame there. Nebraska's a very good team. They did beat Marshall 85-72. The overall strength of schedule for these two teams, it heavily favors the Duquesne Dukes. They played 6 teams ranked between 53 and 123, according to Ken Palm, while UMass has not played anybody in Ken Palm's top 100. So certainly a stronger schedule faced by Duquesne. A lot of that, again, though, was at home, not necessarily on the road. Here's the difference in the game, at least the way I see it. UMass, for what it's worth to Duquesne, is going to feature a brand new front court duo, Josh Cohen and Matt Cross. Josh Cohen, 6'10 center, he's a transfer who was the Northeast Conference co-player of the year last year. Matt Cross, 6'7 power forward, who was part of the UMass team last season, but didn't play in either matchup versus Duquesne due to an ankle injury. So this is going to be a brand new front court duo for Keith Dambrot's squad here. And seeing them on the floor is going to be far different to what Duquesne saw in that guard-oriented UMass offense last year. This combination, Cross and Cohen, so far this season, just to put some context into how significant their presence is so far this season. They're 1-2 in scoring on UMass's roster, 18 points per game for Cohen, 16.7 for Cross. They're number 1 and 2 in rebounds. They combine for 15 rebounds a game. Cross, he's actually the team leader in assists and steals. So you add to the UMass backcourt this front court, and you can understand why they're 9-3 thus far this season. There's a major subtraction from last year's games against each other to this year's games on the Duquesne side, where their point guard, RJ Luis, who shredded UMass last year for 31 and 23 points, he was the leading scorer in both games, transferred out, no longer with Duquesne. So that probably plays a little bit of a role here as well, as could pace of this game. UMass plays fast, number 40 in adjusted tempo rankings. They want to get up, get down, score baskets, play this game 94 feet. They shoot the ball every 16.4 seconds. That's good for 75th in the nation. However, the contrast or the pushback here on the Duquesne side is that they slow offenses down. Who's going to win this battle? Duquesne forces their opponents into only a shot every 18.2 seconds. That's 355th slowest in the nation when it comes to defending your opponent's field goal attempts. It'll play a big key here, but I always feel that at home, the home team, if they're good, they can control pace for the majority of the game. You're probably not going to get 40 minutes of up and down, although last year you did twice. But if you get 30 minutes of it, that favors UMass. Final look in this game is I just think the interior for UMass makes a huge difference in this game. Cohen and Cross have been difference makers thus far this season, and their head coach, Frank Martin, he's going to have his team ready for their third go round against this three-guard oriented Duquesne offense, which really can light it up. Got good shooters. And the newcomer to the three-guard offense, Kareem Rozier, is the best three-point shooter on the team this year. So even though Luis is gone, Rozier is filled in well. I just don't think it'll be well enough at this price. You're laying less than a bucket with the home team, with the interior edge. I'm going to try UMass here, -1.5 in their Atlantic 10 opener over Duquesne.
Let's look at a free play for this show here on Wednesday, January the 3rd. Just a quick reminder, if you want my strongest best bets for tonight on Wednesday, they're available on my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Get there with that shortcut you see on the screen right now, WT.buzz/SM. And while you're there, don't forget about a great New Year's resolution. I'll give you a suggestion. How about taking a serious long-term investment approach for the entire 2024 year? Have you started off the season so far with that approach? You've gone 4-2, 67% on my football and basketball best bets. And I know you've missed a couple days, but don't forget it's a leap year. So you get 366 days. So you've only really missed one day if you get on board that 365-day all sports. And here's the good news. It'll take you into January 1st of 2025 next year. And don't forget, we went 4-1 this year on January 1st. So I know you've missed a couple days here of the year, missed a 4-2 start, but there's still plenty to come. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because that promo code I've got, SM365, on my page right now, gets you an instant 41% discount on a full year of all sports, all access. College basketball and college football, along with pro football, pro basketball, and Major League Baseball. By the way, we're talking college hoops here. My NBA #1 last year in 2023, up 40 net games, 103 and 63 on NBA alone. What a great time to be playing basketball. Get an all sports, all access, save 41% instantly. SM365. Details on my page, along with daily free plays, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's look at a free play tonight. It's a small college game. Don't talk about these a lot, but I thought there was some value with this one. Goes at 8 o'clock Eastern, game number 702. Nebraska, Omaha, minus the 3.5 points, and they're at home against Northern Arizona. Omaha is a team that actually beat my Wyoming Mary tribe earlier this season in the tournament out in Air Force in the thin air and altitude. And that was one of the few games in which they were actually favored. They went off as a 1.5 point favorite in that neutral court back in mid-November, won by 6. But they've only been favored really twice in line to games over the last 8. And one of them, they were only a 1-point favorite on the road. In fact, this is uncharted territory for them to be a home favorite, and I think they will take advantage of it. They were a home dog against Stetson, won that game outright mid-December, and then just most recently, home dog against Denver and lost outright by 15. So they are coming back after winning on the road at South Dakota, but they still lost their most recent home game, which is an angle I always like to pay attention to because it motivates teams. Meanwhile, Northern Arizona is a team that's just 4-7 on the road this season. And they're also a team that does not play good defense. One edge Nebraska Omaha has in this game is they give up just 43% shooting. A bet against a weaker schedule this year, but still much better than the 47.5% shooting the Lumberjacks have allowed. And Northern Arizona has not shot well from 3 on the road, less than 30% from 3. This is a Nebraska Omaha team also that relies less on the 3-point shots. We get the better defensive team, a team that relies less on the 3, on a home court where they've gone 5-1 straight up in a winnable game, coming off a loss in their most recent home game. I like Nebraska Omaha here, minus the 3.5. Tips off at 8 o'clock Eastern tonight on Wednesday. Don't forget my strongest best bets for Wednesday, both college and pro basketball, along with all my best bets all year, available for a 41% discount with that promo code right now, SM365. Check it out along with daily free plays on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with that shortcut code you see on the screen right now, WT.buzz/SM. Have a wonderful Wednesday night. Enjoy the games. We'll talk to you again soon here on Wager Talk TV.
Before we get to today's best bet, just wanted to let you guys know I've already got my college football playoff championship winner posted. We had a big 5% win on Michigan to kick off 2024 in the semifinals. Wasted no time getting locked and loaded for this championship game. You can get that right on my page right now, WT.buzz/BP. We'll also be having a 2-for-1 Saturday special in the NFL. Yes, I'm going to be playing both Saturday NFL games, and one of them will be my next 5% play. Oh, by the way, going back to early November, we're hitting 70%, 14-6 with all NFL selections rated 4% or higher. Once again, it'll be a 5% on Saturday. Doesn't get any bigger than that. Certainly doesn't get any bigger than this. Loyola, Maryland, and Colgate on a Wednesday. And this is a get-right spot for Colgate as they begin Patriot League play. What you need to know about the Raiders is they've recently suffered through a tough stretch. 3 straight losses by a combined 50 points. However, all three of those losses on the road, and two were against Illinois and Iowa. So it's not like, again, we talked about UCLA. These are games you would not really expect Colgate to win. In fact, 6 of their 7 losses this year have been as an underdog. So I'm not concerned about the losses they've racked up tonight. They're back home and favored by double digits over a terrible Loyola Maryland squad. The Greyhounds have lost 10 of 11 overall. The one win was against a non-D1 foe. So it's been quite some time they've beaten a Division I team. Last time out, what did Loyola Maryland do? They lost by 41 to St. Joe's. This is a team shooting below 40% from the field away from home this season. Not good at all. Colgate, you look at their history, they've dominated the Patriot League in recent seasons, grabbed the auto berth 4 of the last 5 times to the NCAA tournament, 20 or more wins every season, going back to 2018, 2019, with the exception of the COVID-shortened year. And you look at the recent history between Loyola and Colgate, all Raiders, 11-0 when hosting, and 4 of the last 5 wins overall have been by 13 points or more. That's the margin we need tonight. I say lay it. Best bet for the show today in a get-right spot, Colgate minus 12.5.
Rob Veno here with today's college basketball best bet for the Happy Hour College Hoop Show. Going to go back to the Atlantic 10 Conference. Once again, the A-10 opening up their conference season tonight. We got a matchup between St. Joseph's and Rhode Island, game being played in Kingston, Rhode Island, the home team. But the road team opened up as the favorite, St. Joe's minus 6.5, total of 144.5. Currently, St. Joe's down to 5.5, and this total has gotten hit a little bit, up to 147.5. So 3-point move, and that's the direction. I actually played this game, guys, at 145.5, and between the time that I played it and we did this show, we're doing this show, wasn't that long. So a quick hit on St. Joe's across the board and Rhode Island across the board here to go over the 145.5, became 147.5. I didn't complicate this handicap whatsoever. We went through this yesterday with the Wake Forest Boston College game. Don't complicate it. Number appeared too low, 150. Sure enough, that game, I think, hit one. Last games have gone over the current number of 147.5. So 6 and St. Joe's has now scored 80-plus points in 3 straight games. She's got a really high-scoring combo there where Rhode Island's been going over this number constantly, and St. Joe's has put up over 80 points recently on a regular basis. Each team is upper tier in NCAA rankings as far as effective field goal percentage is concerned. St. Joe's is number 37 in the country. Effective field goal percentage, almost 55%, 54.9. URI, close behind, 52.5 effective field goal percentage. So both of these teams can shoot the basketball. That's a good sign, of course, when you're playing over. St. Joe's, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the nation. They've been on fire since the outset of the year. It hasn't slowed down yet. They're averaging 37.1% from long distance. URI, they're one of the worst 3-point defenses in the country. That matchup works really, really well for the Hawks of St. Joe's here. URI, the 289th worst 3-point defense in the country. For St. Joe's, their offense, again, heavily predicated on the 3. Almost 44% of their total points this year come from 3-point shooting. And this becomes difficult for Rhode Island because in order to slow the game down a little bit, if they would like to, or slow St. Joe's offense down a little bit, you'd like to zone to slow teams down, but you can't zone St. Joseph's. They shoot right over the top, and I just mentioned how good their 3-point shooting is. So this is a tough matchup for Rhode Island's defense against St. Joe's offense. Rams home games this year, they're averaging 148.2. Again, you start adding all of this up. Rhode Island's been playing at pace. They shoot the ball well. St. Joe's is one of your best 3-point shooting teams in the country. They're one of your best effective field goal percentage shooting teams in the country. Rhode Island's 3-point defense has been miserable for most of the year. This is a difficult matchup for the URI defensive side. To me, 145.5 just looked really small. The numbers and the results proved it out. I think on the floor it'll prove out. So that's going to be today's best bet. St. Joe's at Rhode Island over the total, currently 147.5.